In this episode of the IT Experts Growth Academy podcast, I'm sharing with you my 5-step model on how to make next year an absolute success for you. You're also going to get access to a PDF workbook as well, so you can write this all down and share it with your teams. But most importantly, get yourself a comfortable seat, and I hope you enjoyed the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the IT Experts Growth Academy podcast, the only podcast to help ambitious IT and tech business owners increase their sales, profit, and productivity. So it's the end of the year, it's the beginning of the new year, and what is everyone talking about now? Well, some people are talking about planning their business out for the new year. Now, myself, Innovate to Success, last year was an absolute phenomenal success. And why was that? Because I plan for success. I plan out exactly what I'm going to do. It helps me keep out of stress. It helps me manage stress. What I mean by that is that when things go wrong and you have to deal with things either with a client, an emergency, or something at home, when you get back to normal, when you get back to the daily grind, you can then just pick up what your plan where you left off. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 key steps to New Year's success. These are the 5 steps I'm going to be going through with my peer group in the new year. These are the 5 steps I go through with my team at the end of the year. Well, I've already done it in actual fact. But more importantly, you get access to, if you're watching on video now, if you're on audio, you need to just look in the show notes because you're going to get a link to my action PDF, which is going to help you go through each step that we go through. And then lastly, you have got a little bit of a planner there that you can see that's going to help you put all of your thoughts and actions together. So, as I mentioned before, the really important thing about business planning is setting goals, and it's setting about the direction of your business for the new year. Now, when most people set goals, they normally set them a little bit low and they're all a little bit in their comfort zone, and they don't like to kind of push themselves and make it a little bit exciting and a little bit spicy. And the reason they don't do that is because of the fear of failure. They fear that they're going to, what if I don't get those results? If I don't get that many clients, or I don't get that much turnover, or whatever the target might be, what am I going to do? I'm going to be a failure. Well, there's a bit of a trick to this, because we kind of look at what happened last year. And then we look at, if you are going to grow your business by 10 or 20%, that's not really kind of like earth-shatteringly worrying to do. If you said 50 or 75%, it's going to be, well, hang on a minute, how are we actually going to achieve that? And what steps are you going to take to actually do that? Now, so setting the goals up, set it on a, maybe just set a 10 or 20%. 20% growth on any business is an absolute success in the next year. So maybe set it up around that. What would that actually look like? But during these 5 steps, we're going to be going through some of the key elements that you need to understand, and some of the key factors. So if you want to grow your business, who's going to help you grow it? Have you got the right team? Do you need to recruit the right team? Now, that is a whole another podcast. But for the meantime, we're going to be running through these 5 key steps that I mentioned. So before you go any further, I urge you to go on to the website and go and download your 5-step PDF. In the next 5 days, so the PDF books have all got, or the PDF sheets have all got days on them, or you can do it all in one go. Personally, I would do it one day at a time. I'd go through the program, or go through the podcast, have a listen to the day, have a listen to the action points, involve your team, involve other people in your business, fill out the sheet, have a think about it. Come back and listen to the podcast the next day. I don't care about the analytics. I just want you to get a ton of value. So go back to it the next day and then have a look. And then within a week, you should have your whole plan for next year absolutely mapped out on paper, everybody involved, and a clear plan of where you want to take your business in the next 12 months. Okay, so step 1, let's have a look at last year. Now, let's review exactly what happened last year. And there's 3 things that I need you to do right now. First of all, we need to look at what went well. All the great things that we did that were an absolute success. The second thing is we want to look at what didn't go well. And the third thing is we want to look at what didn't actually get completed. So kind of what projects did you start off with, and what didn't get completed. So day 1 on the sheet here, what we've got on each of these sheets, I hope that comes out on the video, right? Top part is the notes section. So I need to do this for video and for audio. Top part is the notes section. And this is where we're going to put the 3 things down, the 3 areas. Now, involve your teams in this, involve your leadership team and other people in your business. Just sit them down and go, look, guys, what went right next year? What went right last year? What do we need to do, et cetera, et cetera. And then down the bottom, we've got actions and then priorities. So I just want 3 actions out of each section. I don't want any more than that, because you're getting overwhelmed and you get too many things to do. And then before you know it, you end up achieving nothing because you're all absolutely crushed out with too many actions. So quite simply, just write down in the top half of the PDF action note there, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing. So number 1 is all about what went well. So have a think about what were some of those successes that were just right on the money. They were things where you thought, all I need to do is have 3 or 4 clients like that and my business is absolutely sold. What were those particular things? Was it a project? It could have been a project that you did for a client. It might have been installing some network. It could have been installing a Wi-Fi. It could have been helping them out with some software, cybersecurity, or a bit of web development work. It might have been an expo. You might have gone to an expo and had a load of leads, because at the expo or the conference, you've got a load of leads. You're at the right place, right target market, and you're in there and you really helped out. It might have been that you employed a really great team of people. It might be that you were overcoming some difficulties with your clients. So have a think about what went well last year. What were some of the moments where you went, this is what it's all about. I love absolutely working in this organization because these are some of those things. So that's step 1. Have a think about those things that went well. Then on the flip side of that, let's have a think about some of the things that didn't go well. And what I mean by this is, some of the howling mistakes you made. It could have been something where you bought a cheap piece of kit, a server or something, and it might have just failed on installation. You might not have been able to configure it correctly. I'm speaking to many clients this year, and during them, they might have absolutely tested something out and they've gone to go and deploy it and do the installation. And then the whole thing has just come tumbling down. Probably because they bought cheap kit rather than buying some, something that's a bit more reliable. But have a look at the things that didn't go well. Let's go around the drive for business model. How's your lead generation? How's your sales? Are you closing the sales that you're talking about? There's one thing getting all your leads coming in, but there's another thing if you're not getting your leads coming in and they're all crashing and burning and you are not closing business. Remember, when you fail to close business, no one wins. You've wasted your prospects' time. You've wasted all your time taking them through that whole customer journey, the whole time you've been working with them. Nobody wins whatsoever. So if you're not closing business, that's a bad thing. Moving around the wheel, let's look at people performance. Now, how are your team performing? Did they do what you wanted? Did they know what they were supposed to be doing? Did they do what they were supposed to be doing? Were they all in on time? Low level of holiday sickness? What were some of the things there that that particularly didn't go well? Finance. Do you understand your finances? Do you understand your commercials? Have you got your finger on the pulse on what's going on around your commercials? And more importantly, are you measuring your business? Do you understand how you're actually measuring your business? Have a good look at the things that didn't go well. Third step in reviewing last year was looking all about what didn't get completed. The way to do this is to go back and either have a look at your calendar or have a look at if you did have some sort of plan last year or activities, and look at some of the projects that you might have started that you might have finished. So it might have been a product. If you're trying to productize part of your services and put them into packages. For me, I know there was a couple of programs that I wanted to deliver last year, but they didn't end up getting delivered because other things got in the way, client demands got in the way, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd have a look at those issues and go, is that something that's relevant? One thing that I did actually a couple of weeks ago, I went through my OneDrive on the computer and I had a look at all the different folders that I created, all the different things that I thought I was going to do, and the plans and the projects and all the different pieces. And I was, oh, crikey, look at this. This is a good bit of content. Oh, in actual fact, I'll be totally honest with you here. The content and the idea and the concept behind this podcast was actually something I put out last year in the IT Experts Growth Academy group on LinkedIn as a video series. But what I realized was that not everybody during Christmas and that break is actually going to be sitting there worrying about growing their business. So this year we thought, put it out on a podcast and people can listen to it whenever they want. So that's step 1, day 1. Okay, so day 2, step 2, this is all about looking at the bad, looking at the terrible things that went wrong. Now, the thing we mustn't worry ourselves too much about here is that in actual fact, when we do things wrong, when we have a bit of a cock up, when things go a bit pear-shaped, this is when we learn, this is when we grow. if you look back at your journey, and I particularly look back at my journey over the last few years, there are some ridiculously stupid things that I did. Did I learn from them? Would I do it again? Absolutely. Of course I did. And the reason that I go out there and I invest in my time, I invest in my education, I invest in the people that I hang around with is because I want to learn. I just like a sponge, I just want to learn. Because what happens when I learn, I pass that down to my clients, I pass that down to the rest of the company and the team that are working with me, and it helps us all grow and develop and learn and grow businesses together. We've got a really successful team and group of people in the IT experts community now who are all growing their businesses together, they're all learning from each other, and they're getting that success. And you don't learn from anybody unless you've made a few mistakes yourself, unless you look at the bad. So we've got 3 things here. Number 1, what are your weaknesses? What are the things that are kind of holding you back? Number 2, what are your New Year threats or the new threats that you've got coming up? And risks, people don't look at risks, and it's really quite sad because something will come along, cyber attack, for example, ransomware, those types of things, and they will just slice the business to pieces and take it to its knees. And the third thing is about what are you doing about those threats? So number 1, what are your weaknesses? Now, some people will say, I don't we have any weaknesses. I'm all right. Actually, I'm quite good. I'm good at what I'm doing and things like that. Now, everyone's got weaknesses. My particular weaknesses, and the reason that I know my particular weakness is really, really clear, and I can't find it sitting on my desk right now, is because I do leadership profiling. So I've actually profiled myself and I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at. I'm really good at processes. I'm really good at driving things forward, but I'm not that great about making sure that, some of the people in the organization are feeling engaged. And I'm also not that great about making sure I finish things off. So when you know a little bit more about yourself, you can then surround yourselves with the team that are then going to help you to grow, and they're going to help you to finish things off and be a little bit more detailed. For example, your best technician that you've got in your organization, whether you're in IT support, whether you're in web or whether you're in software, your best tech is probably not going to be that great at running a business. He's probably not going to know much about finance or business development. And that's fine, because that's what we're here to help you with. So have a look at your weaknesses. So some of the things might be around how you're presenting to your prospects. So if you're going out there and you've got a slide deck, for example, but they're not buying at the end of the slide deck, or they're not resonating with you, there's something wrong with that. Have a look at your marketing. Have a look at your sales, your lead generation. What are the areas that are letting you down in your business? And feed them back to where they are actual weaknesses within either yourself or your management team, and have a look at that. Step 2 is all about understanding your risks and what are your threats that are coming up. Now, I'm not too aware of many new technology things that are going to be coming out this year, but I did a podcast a couple of days ago with a lady called Anna Heim from Aries Risk Management. And she says the biggest risk coming out right now to people is the IoTs, the Internet of Things, all these things we're plugging in. At the time of recording, it's a week before Christmas time. And guess what? Everyone's all buying these little Amazon Echoes, and they're going to be plugging into the internet, and the hackers are going to be having a bloody field day, hacking all into your Ring doorbells and all of these new things. Those are threats personally. But what threats have you got coming up in your business? And mark them down. Mark down your weaknesses and your threats into your PDF workbook for those who are watching it on video. If you are on the podcast and you've joined halfway through, go back to the podcast page, look in the show notes. There's a downloadable PDF 5-step document that I've given you here on this podcast that you need to keep reviewing. Okay, so now we know what those threats are. Step 3 is all about what we're actually going to do about those steps. What are the things that we're going to do? Are we going to do 1 of 3 things? Are we going to live with it? Are we going to say, okay, that is a threat, we need to get on with it and we kind of need to live with it? Are we going to try and get rid of it? Is there something that we just need to try and get rid of and we need to eradicate it? Or do we need to amend the things and try and reduce the risk? So there's kind of 3 areas that we need to look at with those risks. So on your PDF, write down the risks that you've got. Write down the things that are profit stealers. Now, the thing you need to remember here about risks is that, for example, using simple maths, if you have a risk that comes into your business and it takes away £100 of profit from you, how many more clients, and you weren't planning for it, how many more clients do you need to then go and do the business development, the networking, the pitching, the packaging, the closing, the selling, the delivering of, to replace that client? And we need to think about business, obviously very commercially, but if that's £100 sale, for example, That could be, absolutely a tenth of your yearly target gone all the way straight off the bat. So we need to make sure that, risks will take away big chunks of profit. When they take big chunks of profit, if they get realized and you let them get realized, then big chunks of profit means that you've got to sell even more. You've got to work harder and harder and harder just to stand still. And this is a really important point that a lot of people don't think about. So looking at the bad, look at the weaknesses, what we're going to do about them, look at your threats, what we're going to do about them, look at how you are going to deal with those threats and what you're going to do about them. Again, priorities at the bottom, don't want to overwhelm yourselves, write your actions, keep it really simple, keep it nice and high level. Right, day 3, part 3, whatever you want to call it. This is now looking at the good. So get your next PDF out. Day 3, same format as we were using before. And there's 3 key things we're looking at here. Number 1, identifying your strengths. What are you amazing at? What are you really, really good at? Number 2, how are we going out and looking for other opportunities? So identifying other opportunities. And number 3 is about maximizing, some big wins and really getting out there to really push ourselves. So number 1, let's have a look at identifying our strengths. So while we're identifying our strengths in business, what we kind of do is we look at the things that are easy and we look at the things that we need to do. One of the easiest things someone told me years ago was, to identify kind of your values and your strengths and where you'd like to spend your time is, what do you do when you get up in the morning? What are the natural things that you really enjoy to do? Me, I like to get up because I like to help people out. I like to help people. I like to impart knowledge. I like to help the peer group. I like to help my one-to-one clients, whether it be with IT, leadership development, managing their teams, packaging, sales, whatever it might be, the whole kind of kit and caboodle as it would be, as they say in the trade. And that's one of my strengths is that I like to help people, but it's also actually one of my weaknesses as well, because I want to help so many people. It also causes a problem when a lot of people who potentially aren't going to maybe act on the information that I'm going to give to them or aren't going to necessarily pay or chew up some of my time causes a bit of an issue. So I need to have a balance between my discovery calls and the discovery days that we have where we help and show people how the programs can help IT and tech businesses and the kind of stuff that we give away for free. Because at the end of the day, guess what? My wife likes her holidays and so do I. So these are the things we need to make sure that we've got paid for. So look at your strengths. If you've got a team of people, look at what each individual strengths are, because then you understand the team a bit more and you understand who's doing a little bit more. So you might be really technical as the business owner, which is great, but we look at the weaknesses. One of your things might be about sales and marketing and understanding the packaging and how you stand out from your competition. But your strengths might be really technical. So maybe one of the things you could put in your action plan there is that if I'm really technical on, say, for example, Cisco systems, and that's quite a niche sort of like server unit, if I could teach one of my team to do maybe the basics over the next 2 or 3 months, a couple of things are going to happen here. Number 1, they're going to be a little bit more empowered because you're going to be sharing with them. You're going to be involving them. You're going to be investing in them, and you're going to be helping them get a little bit more excited about their role and what they're going to be doing. But more importantly, you're then going to be able to free up some of your time to spend on the £1,000 tasks and the big ticket tasks it would be. And your individual your team member that you're going to be training can then look at the other areas. Now, what I just want to cover off there, just spinning in my head right now, I've just mentioned a £1,000 task. You might not have a clue what I'm talking about. So let's just have a quick bit about prioritization, time management, right in the middle of the podcast, right in the middle of the way. So I'm just going to make a little note there where we are. Right. Tasks. Okay, so there's 3 different types of tasks you have in your business: a £10 task, a £100 task, and a £1,000 task. What we need to do is we make sure that different levels of people throughout the organization are actually dealing with the right level of task. So if as a business owner, you should be dealing with £1,000 tasks that are £1,000 an hour tasks, bringing in business into the organization, strategic thinking. If you're mucking around in the weeds, for want of a better phrase, and you are dealing with emails and hotel bookings and all of these types of things, which are £10 tasks and admin tasks, that is going to prevent your business from growing. So what we need to do is start off with the £10 task. These are the tasks that we help and we develop our junior members of the teams. These could be around room bookings. It could be around, calling clients and having a very high level conversation. It could be around doing some admin, emails, social media, posting and that sort of thing. We then move up to kind of what the management tasks are, which are the £100 tasks. And all the £100 tasks are around, doing things. It could be around creating content. It could be around like your management and your supervisor, making sure people are there, scheduling, making sure they're delivering off the client, satisfaction, making sure they're delivering client operationally. Then your £1,000 tasks are the tasks that are really important. They're the strategic thinking. They're when you're going out meeting joint ventures, when you're pitching to clients, and when you're making sure that you're out there generating that business. That's a quick blast right in the middle of the podcast on 10, 100 and £1,000 tasks. So hopefully that will help you understand a little bit more about whenever I reference that and what that means and how important it is to make sure we get people to kind of stay in their swim lines, which means you're going to grow your business because you're going to be focusing on the £1,000 tasks. Right. So getting back to point 2. So that was identifying your strengths. So now one of your strengths is going to be, you know how to identify the right task, and you're going to be a little bit more organized in your time management. Step 2 is about looking for other opportunities. Now, what we mean by this is kind of almost do like a bit of a discovery, possibility thinking, where you can just put in the middle of a page or flip chart, something like that. If you're looking for a particular area or you're looking for a particular client, how on earth, where are all the other opportunities? So for example, if we turn around and say you were looking for a care home, for example, who would be connected to a care home? You could have hospitals, you could have doctors, you could have nurses, you could have, social clubs, you could have churches, you could have all sorts of different things. Think outside the box and start to think about looking for other opportunities. Who are you currently providing services for? The easiest way to grow a business, the number one way to grow a business, if the only part of the podcast you ever listen to is to sell more to your existing clients or provide more to your existing clients or add value to your existing clients, for which they will pay you money for. You've already done the sales, you've already done the marketing, you've already done the know, like and trust you've already done kind of all of that jazz, and they're already buying from you. So the easiest thing to do is the easiest conversation. We've delivered great service for you this month. I've got this new backup service here. I've got this new server that's going to help you with the slow time you've got down on your banking, or I've got this new cybersecurity package that's going to help you with, making sure that you're safe from ransomware or whatever it might be. Look at all the other opportunities. There's all around you. And do you know what? I reckon you could probably get another 20% business growth from existing clients you've already got just by serving them more and thinking about the packages. Step 3 is all about maximizing new opportunities. Now, what I mean by that is looking for joint ventures, looking for partnerships, looking for people who can help you. Now, think about people you already work in your organization. So, for example, if you're an IT support company, you might be going out there and someone else is doing your Wi-Fi. Well, guess what? If somebody calls up that Wi-Fi company and says, look, I need a new Wi-Fi router because I've already got, oh, do you know anybody who needs IT support? It's like myself. I'm working quite closely right now with a local HR company, and they are a really, really good referrer because they do all the tactical and all the kind of legal, keep you out of prison kind of stuff. And I do all the strategy and help with the leadership and development and all those. Great source of referrals. So maximize your big wins, maximize out, and really have a think outside the box and which are the other big £1,000 tasks that you need to be now dealing with as the business owner to take it to the next level in the next year. Step 4 is about setting out your goals and your targets. Now, little story that I normally use here. When a pilot takes over, he's flying over to New York from Heathrow Airport. He takes off. When he's taking off from Heathrow Airport and he's going down that runway, he is not thinking about parking the plane over at JFK, not an iota. He knows he needs to get there. He knows how he needs to get there, and he kind of got his bit of an idea on which direction it is. But right now, he's more important about getting the plane in the air safely and making sure that he's going to carry on with that route. Now, this is no different than business planning. We're going to set some goals now, and I want you to think about what you want the next year to look like. And we want the next year to look like in terms of turnover, profit, people, clients, that kind of thing. Now, if we set a goal that we're going to increase your business by 20%, and I'll use round numbers again. So, for example, say you got £1 million business, and we want to do that by 20%. So we want to kick that up to 1.2. What we're not going to start panicking about January the 1st is, God, how are we going to get £200,000? You break it out, you work it out, just like the airline pilot. So the 3 things we're going to be doing right now. Number 1 is we're going to be setting out your yearly targets. Number 2, we're going to break them down into quarterly targets, bite-sized chunks, 90-day period. And 90 days, a nice period of time. It helps people sell. It takes them out of stress, and it's a nice little 3-month period. And then we get into the monthly, the monthly review and monthly looking at your KPIs as well. Break it down into the categories again. Get your PDF sheet out. Again, same format as we've had for the last few days on day 4. And first of all, let's start looking at your yearly target. So what do you want to achieve in the next year? I'm going to use this hypothetical 20%, okay? If you'll grow your business, everybody who listens to this podcast grows their businesses by 20% in the next year. That'd be a right result. Let me know if you do. And then I can reference it back in the show notes. Anyway, so 20% growth, for example, we want to do it. How are we going to do it? How many clients have we got right now? What is the average spend per client? What is the average profit per client? Also, we could break it down into work streams. So it could be tech support, it could be web support, it could be software development, it could be cyber, it could be backup, you could be breaking yourself down into, CTO, audits, whatever it might be. A really key thing that I invite you to do is to break down your kind of cash flow in that same way. So you know what's making money and what's not making money. If you don't know if an area, a product, service, or solution that you provide is or isn't making money, how do you know whether it's a good thing to do or not? And how do you know whether it's a good thing that you're going to drive your business moving forwards? So have a think about what that yearly target is. Number of clients, number of turnover, number of employees, number of profit, percentage increase, that sort of thing. High level. Remember, JFK. You're over in JFK. Well, you're not in JFK, you're in Heathrow at the minute, but you're over in JFK. So then let's break that down into quarters. Now, step 2, quarters. So what we're not going to do, if all of a sudden we're going to go for this 200 grand, right? So we're going to do a 200 grand increase in turnover. What would be a bit foolish to do would be to break it up into 12 and drip it across the equal 12 months. Reason being, it's going to take you a little while to think, all of a sudden you've got to put 200 grand in your business. How are we going to do this? What new marketing do we need to do? What new lead generation do we need to do? How are we going to get it? What clients have we got? What quick wins have we got? Where can we go and get our clients that are currently working with us right now to maybe fill that gap? So break it down, but don't break it down into 4 equal quarters. Break it down so you kind of ramp up throughout the year, because you're going to get momentum. So you could be doing new activities like marketing. You could be doing some new lead generation. You might even be going into a new niche. You might be defining your niche. I hope you've already got a niche. If you haven't got a niche, there's a whole nother podcast all about that. But making sure that you're in your niche as well. And then step 3, break it down into the months. So the thing is, the reason we put it down into months is that when you've got your team, when you've got your responsible people, you can then start to give them monthly targets. Monthly one-to-ones, absolutely critical. You sit down with every single team member, you review their objectives, you review how well they're doing, you ask them how well you're doing as a leader, and you just get a bit of 360 feedback, see if there's anything else. Remember, the guys down on the street, down on the floor, they are the ones who are really running your business. They're the ones who really know what's going on. So bloody well ask them what the things that you can do better. And when you have regular reviews on a monthly basis, that's how you do just that. Okay, so step 5 is all about mapping out and measuring your business. So again, go and get the PDF page from your workbook. If you've just joined this podcast, or if you've come in halfway through, you've missed most of it, so you need to go back to the beginning. But more importantly, there's a PDF workbook that goes with this podcast. So go into the show notes below. There'll be a link straight on to the podcast page at the website, where you'll be able to get a direct download to the PDF. So the 3 things that we're going to be looking at here about mapping and measuring business. So the 3 actions we've got here is, how are you actually measuring your business right now? What are the KPIs that you've got in place? Number 2, about assigning owners and making sure that we've got the right owners in the organization who are taking accountability for those actions. And then what does winning look like for you? So we've got your goals. We've got your 100 grand, or was it 200 grand? I can't remember. That's 200 grand, wasn't it? Over to the end of the year. But what does that make it feel like to you? Does that mean you can take Friday afternoons off? Does it mean that you're pulling a few more dividends out of the business? You're bringing a bit more wages in? Does it mean you've got a larger team and it's an easier place to work? You can go to the gym and have a bit of a better lifestyle. What does winning look like for you? So number 1, how are you measuring your business? Most people, they pick up their phone, they go through zero and they go, oh, yeah, we haven't had a bad month. You must have a cash flow forecast. You must have current cash flow. You must have, your projections and looking at what you're looking to develop and grow moving forwards with the organization. Now, having those all laid out is your clear path. It's your getting you over to JFK. It's helping you guide yourself moving forward. So what are your KPIs? Are they around number of clients? Are they around your residual income? Is it around making sure that you are bringing in so many leads? Is it project work? Is it types of website? What are the things? How many X's do you need to do to get Y, to get you 200 grand? Now, key thing number 2 is that once you've assigned those, and you might have, say for example, you're an IT support company, you might have somebody looking after your help desk, you might have somebody looking after technical delivery, and somebody looking after clients and key account management, assigning owners for the individual tasks that fit within those silos. Once you've assigned your owner, and once you know exactly what you need to do, and once you know what you want them to do, then you can measure them regularly. You can also give them clear targets. They've got a purpose. They feel accountable. They feel like you give a damn about them, and that they're in the organization themselves. And they will then be more responsible, and they'll take more ownership, and they'll help you drive the business forward. Giving people ownership is the best way to motivate people, because they will then want to help you even more. And then number 3, what does winning look like to you? As I mentioned earlier on, is it about taking Friday afternoon? I was with a client this week, actually, and he said to me, winning for me looks like taking the whole of next December off. And I said, steady on a little minute. That's quite a task. But that's what we're aiming for. He doesn't want to work all next December. He wants the rest of his business to be totally, automated in such a way that his systems and his processes and his people are all looking after the business, so he doesn't need to be there. What a great goal. How would that make you feel? So have a look at understanding what that would look like into your business. So that's the 5 key steps there that we've got for the planner there, for the map out and the measure. Now, the last page I want you to look at is the New Year Action Tracker. Now, what this helps you do is helps you take the key things that you've just written down on each of the individual day one pages. For the purpose of people listening to this on audio, I'm now holding up an A4 page on landscape, which is the last page. It's called New Year Business Action Tracker. So we've got in here priority. Which are the ones that we're going to do first? Which are the ones that's going to generate revenue quicker? Then we're going to have the title. So it might be to improve our lead generation. And the ultimate outcome is to increase our leads to, 5 or 10 additional leads per month. And then who's going to do what and when are they going to do it? So Steve's going to start working out on LinkedIn, reaching out to people, writing new blogs, getting some content out there, etc., etc. You might have another action of, I think we need to make sure that we have an appraisal system sorted out for our team. So it will be about employee engagement. Ultimate outcome is everybody to have clarity in their role, understand where they affect the business performance, who's doing what and when, and write that down on your action tracker. Now, I really do urge you to do this exercise, go through this podcast, or at least what I've been talking to you about with the podcast, with your team, so that they can feel engaged within the business. So look, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It was really exciting for me to be doing this, because I've actually done this process with my team about a month ago at the end of November, and we are all ready for success in the new year. We are ready to hit the ground running. We know what our quarterly goals are. We know what the yearly goals are. I know how many people need to do what to get me where I need to be to help even more IT and tech businesses. Now, what I really urge you to do at this point is to go back and have a look at some of the other podcasts, have a look at some of the subjects. We've got some great stuff there on LinkedIn around strategy, around sales, and there's going to be some awesome stuff coming up around managing people, around closing business and bringing in HR, contracts and commercial. And, the point of this podcast is going to be absolutely endless. Now, I help loads of IT and tech businesses on a daily and a weekly basis. And one of the ways we do it is with our peer groups. We run a peer group, and it's really, really powerful. People are getting great connections. They're getting great help, support, because there's so many people out there who are doing the work that you're doing right now. They've made mistakes that you've made. They've had the howlers that we talked about earlier on, but they're now in a place, in an environment, in a structured environment, using the models and the systems we use at ITS, Innovate to Success, to help you take your business to the next level. Now, this particular podcast itself should give you enough to have a good think about. But, if you just want to have a chat and you want to make contact and just understand, how we can help, then just drop me a message, either over on LinkedIn, or you can drop me an email at ian@innovatetosuccess.com. In the meantime, don't forget your PDF. Don't forget to get it involved. I wish you all the very best for the year ahead. I really hope that you are going to get everything that you want, because you're going to plan it out. That's it from me today. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to catch up with you soon. You look after yourself. So thanks very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, then please remember to subscribe, rate and review. I'd really appreciate that. And also check the show notes out for all the latest developments at the IT Experts Growth Academy. If we haven't already, then let's connect on LinkedIn, YouTube and over at our website at innovate2success.com. Until next time, you look after yourself and I'll catch up with you soon.